Hello, good morning. Welcome to QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We are always happy. You follow this program and you send us your comments that this program really inform you, especially those living in the diaspora. The likes of Brother Ibrahim Jawara, Brother Banki in Spader, of course, our sister Jainaba in the UK. Not forgetting our brother Mustafa in Manchester. He also follow this program a lot. Yeah, so we are back. It's the Thursday edition, the 7th of May 2026. We're broadcasting from the Gambia, West Africa, and on QCell Avenue, Serekunda. And I am with Mr. Adedrame as the co-host of this program. Mr. Ade, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Balde. How are you?
Fine, I'm good.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Traffic almost made me trek to work today.
I was going to complain about traffic because every morning when I come to work, I see people speeding. And I'm assuming...
Not over speeding.
No, no such thing. The reason they're speeding is because I presume they're going to be late for work. There's a simple remedy for that. Leave home earlier. Please, because every day I see an accident and it's usually due to speeding. So please, just leave home early and get to work on time. You don't have to speed like a crazy person on the highway.
Absolutely.
Endangering your life and that of others.
Yeah.
So I needed to have that rant because of some stuff that I saw on the road today.
Yeah.
I just had to get it off my chest.
Yeah.
Mr. Kurubali, good morning. Madam Mr. Kurubali is here to do the newspaper review with us. So I just had to get that off my chest.
I know that. Good morning, Mr. Ade, and good morning, Mr. Balde. I know the traffic here in the Gambia is stressful sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like Balde was saying before we just started that he nearly parked his car to trek because of
walking
the traffic.
is better than...
You know, but for people like us who live in an area where we have a new road that a lot of people don't know about yet because there is no traffic. It's just like a smooth ride all the way. So I can leave my house 15 minutes to
I think you
the clock in time, no problem.
But that's a secret road. I should be
a lot of people don't know about that road. I guess let's just leave it as it is.
I will use it. I will use it next week.
My Lloyd brother would say, make me leave him like that.
Yes, I will use it next week. Yeah, so on the program, we'll take a look at the African code. From the code, then the newspaper review. Although it said Mr. Momodu Mboj.
Well, Mr.
Mboj is going to pay.
He'll have to drop in absolutely a few times.
Yeah, so
by the way, someone told me, he said, you know what? Is it Mboj getting this absolutely from you, or is you getting it from Mboj? I said, what do you mean? He said, oh, you're used to the absolutely what? After every 2 or 3 was absolutely. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I got it from Mboj.
That should be a skeleton in the cupboard, isn't it, Mr. Momodu Mboj? Mr. Ade. So we'll also talk to Modu S. Juve, Secretary General Gambia Press Union on World Press Freedom Day commemoration and Spirit of Service football match, Ajibank versus the government of the Gambia. And of course, we're talking to some of the Ajib officials, Mahmoud Lamin Jawlad, of course, Ibrahim Job, Malik Mbub, they'll be here, and we will be looking at that.
Unfortunately, we won't have the 2 respective coaches of the teams. His Excellency the President and Mohamed Jah, they're coaching the
they're the one
teams.
coaching the respective teams.
Yes, apparently.
Interesting.
Okay, all right. But one thing I know, for us Q Group, we have a bigger support. So we have a bigger support.
And it's going to be a home game.
So let the government let the government be careful because we have very good players here. Yeah, so we'll take a look at the code. Do not follow the path. Go where there is no path and leave a trail.
We innovate.
Others follow. We impact.
Hey,
give me 5. Give me 5. Give me 5. Give me 5. How can you synchronize that?
I mean, because when you think of it, that's kind of what it's saying. You know, don't kind of just do, go, where everybody else is going. Make a new path. Establish something, innovate.
Make a difference.
And then, you leave that trail, and then others come behind you. And
they say, do not continue the same system. If you know the system can be better.
Indeed.
Invent something to make it better. Just like when we come like, oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah, the way this door is, it's okay. You can open and close, but I think it can be better. Because when you open it, maybe there is a lot of noise, you know. But when you slide a little bit, you know, scale it properly, when you open it, it will open smoothly without that noise and all that. So when the system is working, but the fact that you have the feeling it can be better, make it better.
Make it better.
Yeah.
There are many ways to kill the cat or the rat.
To skin the cat.
To skin the cat.
When
you skin the cat, you kill the cat. You cannot skin it and still it's alive.
It might survive.
Yes. So it's telling you to make an impact in the lives of people, wherever you are, your environment. We've seen people that live in our midst that you know. These are people that you know once they live among us or within us, you can see the impact and the changes they will make. There are people that you know they are change makers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
it's one thing that I always tell people if you're going for a job, and people say to you, "Why should we give you this job?" You know, back in the days when I used to chase jobs, I used to look at, okay, they've advertised this job. 100 people literally have applied for it. What do I need to do or say to convince them that I should be the one? So you look at what they've got, and just to use the very analogy you've used, how can I improve on what they've got a system that's working? And then at that interview, you tell them, well, actually, I've looked at what you're doing, and if I were given this job, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
And that is the one that will clinch it for you. You have to do something that relates to that. It's okay telling them all the great things you did, but remember, you've applied for this specific job. How can you improve this job or make it better?
Yeah.
You're not just going to come and sit there and do what the last person did.
Yeah.
Otherwise, any of those 100 people could do that because they probably have the same qualifications and even maybe the same experience. So you have to look at the job and say, I would change this. So for example, when I went for a job at the Cabinet Office, I looked at their website, and it's one of these things that anytime I look at something, I see typos, I see spelling mistakes. And so at the end of the interview, they said, well, you know, why should we give you this job? And I said, well, actually, having looked at your website, I think you really need somebody like me to come and edit. And they were like, they were a bit shocked. They said, what do you mean? And I said, here's this paper. I said, I've listed more than 100 mistakes on your website. I said, obviously, nobody's checking it. And they were like, what? Really? I said, yeah. And I handed it to them. And of course, a week later,
that's the man for the job.
This is it, because you have to identify something about that job that you can improve.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
well, there are job interviews that will ask you, what do you think we can improve? You know, what can you adjust? You understand?
Yeah. And you have to think about that before you go into the room. You know.
Before you go into anything, I believe you even make your research, try to know it better. And if it is your area, of course, you will know one or two things to do to make it better. Absolutely.
So it's about impact. It's about changes. It's about leaving a positive trail in the lives of each person. You understand?
Just like in governance, you know, when you have a new government, coming in, there is always this handing over notes, you know, and all that. You look at them, like, okay, this is working. You know, maybe I want to leave that as it is, but this is working, but, you know, I want to change one or two things. That's why you see, let's take an example of Senegal, what happened when this new, you know, government came into power, Bassirou Diomaye Faye's government. You know, they've made a lot of changes to some of the contracts, maybe the oil and gas. You know, I think of recent, I even saw on the news that, I can't remember the name of the company, but they've decided to let go of the gas thing. Now it's fully owned by Senegal.
Yeah, because they renegotiated it.
So, you know, things like that. So that tells you whenever, you know, you take up something like a new responsibility or wherever you go, try to see how best you can do things to impact.
I believe no man is an island. There is always a room for adjustment.
There really is. And you just said that because last year or year, when these guys took over, there was like a 3-hour presentation they did, which was a 25-year vision for Senegal. And I watched it. In fact, I still have the video. I downloaded the whole video. And it was a really bold vision. It was, they said, at the end of this 25 years, never mind second world, we want Senegal to be a first world country. It was a really bold. And they said, you know, we will use our oil wealth to fund all of this. Otherwise, why have it? And it was really, I have it. And I remember Mboj and I were discussing it and thinking, normally people come with a 5-year vision. But 25 year, because you might not be elected in successive elections. So you might not be there to implement it. And as you rightly said,
Yeah.
when another government comes, they might change everything that you've tried to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And you had the same in Guinea-Conakry, where he has this 2040 vision, you know, Mamadi Doumbouya.
Maybe
you
he
know.
will be there for.
So he might be there for well, he's banned all the opposition, so he probably will be there till 2040. But you know, something bold, something that's a game changer, and you kind of you leave that's your legacy, and then others can.
Sometimes you need to take the bold step.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
many times.
it only takes you know, courage for you to put it together and just make one leap.
Yeah.
And you are there. Yeah, so viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, then we will take a look at some of the papers. We'll be back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Now let's head to the stories on the newspapers. Let's start with the Standard newspaper. I'm pretty sure, Mr. Ade, on your screen you have the Standard. And the main headline of the Standard newspaper, NPP should be wary of allegations of a voter registration. One of the National Assembly member for NRP, Honorable Jallo of Nyamina, mentioning that. For me, actually, it's important for us to deal with the headline, but it's important for us to take a look at public trust on the Independent Electoral Commission. Most of these allegations are, a lot of allegations, voter fraud, voter registration, you know, minor registration. Bala Musa, is this not going to undermine public trust, you know, as far as the IEC is concerned?
But I think so far, what we have to do is to commend the IEC. Because we've seen where the IEC officials, you know, should I say, rejected certain documents because they felt like they are not accurate.
They were fraudulent.
They are fraudulent, yes. So I haven't seen anywhere or anybody coming out to say IEC have registered someone with a fraudulent document or with a document that is not accurate. I haven't seen that. But what they say is IEC actually stopped people from registering because they feel like their documents are not right. There's something absolutely wrong with their documents.
Sure.
So, and we've seen not just the NPP, it happened with other political parties. We saw the National Assembly member of allegedly was also you know, involved, and the NPP also allegedly also involved in it. So I think this is not about IEC. It's about the political parties who are involved in this or who are allegedly to be involved in this practice.
Yes, but the reason why I talk about the integrity of the IEC, it's IEC, it's the referee in this instance. Anything that has to do with election and voters card, it is associated with the IEC. So for me, I am more particular about undermining our democracy as far as you know, all these allegations are concerned.
You know, Mr. Ade, before you come in, we have to look at it from this aspect. The registration, there are phases. Okay, the voter registration that is going on right now. After the registration, if you are registered,
I have to do mine. I in fact forgot. I have to go and do mine.
Mine will be on Saturday anyway. On the 9th. They will be in my area on the 9th. So I even have it on my phone. When it, on the 9th, 10 a.m. it will just alarm and I know I'm supposed to get my card. You know, so like I was saying, voter registration is one thing, but after the voter registration, all these allegations that people are talking about, coming up and all that, I believe the political parties will file them and then we'll have the revising courts that will look at all these allegations, you know, see the people who actually should not be registered, who have been registered. They will obviously, you know, unregister them and all that. But also, after the revising, in 2021, we saw after the official results were announced, UDP came out to say there were allegations, there were fraudulent acts here and there from the registration and all that. But when the revising courts were open back then in 2021, not even a single case was filed.
Which is what I was about to say.
Not even a single case.
Took my words. And one of my friends who belongs to the UDP and who is a lawyer, I said to him, and he's probably watching, I said, you guys should be embarrassed about making these allegations. You're a lawyer, the leader of your party is a lawyer. Lawyers rely on evidence. If you have the evidence, take it to the revising courts. The revising courts opened, they shut, nobody came through their doors. They like these allegations to be made in the media and on social media. They make a lot of noise about it and they poison the public's mind. And they destroy trust in the organization. It is simple. If you have the evidence, bring it or zip it.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's not rocket science. You know, but they love to make these allegations. They're unfounded. As the IEC guys told us, if you come to register and you have a valid document, and look, there's no reason why we should bar you from registering. None. So, you know, all this noise, I really wish they would stop it, because if they have the evidence, we have the revising courts take it to the court.
I agree with you. For me, one of the most important thing I even noticed with all these allegations, when they take photos of people, claiming they are teenagers, they are underage and all that. How can you tell? you cannot look at my face. Maybe you can look at me and think Bala is maybe in his 40s, when Bala is not. You can look at Balde and think Balde is in his 30s, when Balde maybe is in his 40s. So you cannot judge the book by its cover. You know. So when someone comes to the IEC with a valid birth certificate or a valid ID card or a valid passport or a valid attestation from an alcalo, like you said, IEC by law cannot stop that person from registering because the person looks like a 13-year-old.
Listen, when I was 25 in England, I was being stopped from going into movies that said 18 and above. I used to have to carry my passport with me to show people that this is me on the passport and I'm 25. I'm not under 18. So it can happen that there are people who don't look their age. You know, when I was at the surgical conference the other day and I was on the mic and I said, you know, growing up in the 60s, and the guy said, what are you talking about? And I said, yeah, I'm 71. And he was like, you're what? I said, yes. So not everybody looks their age.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so just because somebody doesn't look what you think is their age doesn't mean that that's evidence.
I am just, I mean, a little bit worried. Let it not lead to voters apathy. I mean, with all these allegations, sometimes it's a problem.
Bala might want to come in, but I don't make that kind of correlation that just because people think there's underage voters, foreigners registering, we hear all of this stuff. But I repeat, if somebody has a valid document, they register. If they don't, take it to the courts, or as Mr. Balde would say, tell it to the Marines. You know, it's there, and you know, use the court system and use the system that is there. Don't keep making allegations against the IEC, because, as I said, you're poisoning the minds of people without bringing evidence. And that's the thing. These days, people don't think they need to bring evidence. All they need to do is make an allegation, and it sticks. Because they know that people are too lazy to do their own research and do their own investigations. And so they know that, you know, that's why we see a lot of stuff go viral on social media that's completely fake. I'll give you a quick example, nothing to do with the elections, but this one about the Equatorial Guinea president kneeling at the feet of the Pope.
Yeah,
it's completely fake, AI-generated thing. And it went viral. It went viral. And I have to say to people, I'm sorry, I saw the full film of that encounter, and at no stage did he kneel.
Anything you see, you have to verify.
No, but the other thing also, I mentioned this here, the important thing is anything that is AI generated on Facebook or Instagram, it indicates.
It indicates that
AI
this
info.
is AI
Even on
info.
our page, you notice sometimes we post stuff and we generate an image, it tells you up there, AI info. So, but people need to be educated about these things. But like Mr. Ade said, Balde, most of these allegations should be evidence-packed. If you don't have evidence, you just make, you know, a lay allegation and it just goes like that. But like you say, they know what is on social media. They know social media, people don't have time to fact check this and all that. They just make allegations and then people buy into it, you know, and that's it. But also 2021, we've seen that. You know, we've seen NPP, UDP and other parties been, you know, involved in what they call, is it voter bribery or whatever they call, which is by law is not allowed. But all of them were doing it. But after the election, they wanted to use it against the other party. So, you know, these are some of these things, well, they should be evident back, to be honest.
Absolutely.
You know, you cannot
well,
just make
if you don't
like
have
that.
an evidence, I mean, you don't have a case. It's not a strong case. You can bring it forth, and at the same time, it's still going to be a white elephant.
Let me give you a practical example quickly back in history. 1967 election in Sierra Leone. My father was contesting against a government minister, a chap called R.G.O. King. And my father thought he was going to have a bit of a struggle to unseat this guy because he'd been the MP since 1961, since independence. And so he went to the campaign and so on. And he said, look, you know, I'm new, I'm contesting for the APC. He said, just tell me one thing that this guy has not done for you that you would really love to have done? And they said,
I was there.
we are,
The canoe,
they said, you know,
the shipping.
they said we
The
are
fishing.
a fishing community. This guy has not even bought a single canoe for us. So my father bought a whole lot of boats for the whole community. Trust me, he trashed the guy.
Landslide victory.
Landslide.
Yeah.
You know, and is that bribery?
No.
I don't know. Or just strategy?
It's about just
I think it's strategy.
no, it's the proverb. Looking at what to adjust and what to
I think
improve.
that is strategy,
you
but
know,
sometimes, okay, but you know, some of these things, when you go to court, that is when the lawyers and the judges will look at this and see how best they can trash it.
Yeah.
But
So
looking at this story from a different angle, coming from an NRP member who is into coalition or in the partnership with the NPP,
Yeah, we'll have to ask
I
what
don't
is
know
happening.
what signal that is trying to send.
What
there,
is
you know?
happening?
Yeah.
We don't know, but they know.
Because he's saying they should be wary.
Yeah.
He's not accusing them
Yes.
of being
Concerned,
involved in it.
yeah.
Just they should be concerned
Yeah.
about
Exactly.
the allegations.
So Progress leaders, I mean, Slum's IEC registration, delaying tactics, vows to run independent. Another one.
So I don't know
So-
whether he's trying to register.
And they
Register a political party.
probably
party.
it's taking
Yeah,
time.
because I think we have a couple of parties. That the one that I'm very aware of is the UMC. Who submitted the documents, and you know, I think there were some errors here and there. IEC had to send the documents back for correction, and they, according to them, they've done that and they sent it back to the IEC.
And they're waiting.
And now they're waiting for the approval. Like, yeah, if one look at it, you will say maybe there's sort of a delay, but you know, I think IEC will be in a better position to answer that because maybe the process, we don't know
There's a process
what is
in
the
everything.
process, you know, what are some of the things that they look at. Because the reason why I believe they're able to detect that some people were actually on the list for the number of like voters you should get, voters card. They saw about, you know, I think about 4 or 5 people registered once or more than twice and all that. So which means it's a process. They take their time and go through it. But IEC, like I said, will be in a better position to explain
So
why
I think
the delays are
IEC
there.
would be able to provide that justification,
Sure.
you know, concerning, I mean, this delay. UDP says Sidinjai's claim false.
The claim is that they had once asked him to.
Standard newspaper.
Yes, they'd once asked him to stand, and we mentioned it, and in fact when I said it, when we dealt with it the other day with CD's claim, I said, look, this is election campaign. The gun was fired on the 1st of January. You know, once there's a December election, the campaigning starts now. How can I damage my political opponents? What can I make? What allegations? What stories can I do? And what's the evidence? You know. So he's saying they're saying it's false. Now, if he had a letter or a recording where they made him this offer, hey, bring it. Otherwise, it's just an empty statement that they can just as easily rebut and refute.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So
You're
let's
right.
move on. Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw it. Sidinjai said he was invited, and UDP is saying such as never happened. But when you look at it also, you know, most of the UDP executive members then, you know, that is from 2021 to all the way maybe in 2024, I would say, some of them had very senior officials, former officials of the APRC. Like one person, Mamadou Savali, Tombong, Seidi, and all these people. So, you know, it's politics. It's politics for you, you know. Like you said, there's no evidence. I can say, oh, I told Ade this. Ade will say no.
Quite.
How can I prove that actually I had told Ade? You know. So, yeah, some of these things are just political. I take them to be political statements.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So another headline before we wrap up. Probably. Yes, we still have some stories
so which
to go.
One?
George threatens to send lawyer to prison in Banta Keita's case.
Not just any lawyer, but the State Council.
Yes.
Jobate, right?
Yeah.
So we need to know.
Yes, for me, I saw it this morning, but I don't know the details.
Oh, I do know the details.
Oh, okay, then you help us, please.
So the case was on, and the defense had already made their submission to the judge.
Okay.
So when the State Council got up and started making, he said certain statements and they wanted to object. And it is the judge's prerogative to say, let me hear your objection. The State Council said, I'm not going to listen to this guy. And Jaite had to say, look, I'm not your mate. It's not for you to decide who gets. I said, I want to hear their objection. And then I will overrule it or allow it. he continued speaking. And so he said, look, if you don't stop, I will send you to mile 2 for contempt. And so they took the case into chambers, and then they came back, and he said, is counsel now willing to stand down and allow me to hear the objection? He said, if not, I will send him to. And then they were pleading, oh, don't send him, because the guy was still, you know, like, oh, I'm not going to stand
So,
up.
Bala, how do you think this friction is going to affect the timeline of this case? Because this is a high-profile case.
It is a high-profile case, but, you know, if you are very familiar with court cases, these are things that happen in courts, you know.
And this case has been on for a while.
Yeah, this case also has been on for a while now, you know. Yeah. But, you know, Justice Jaite, I believe, you know, did the right thing, you know, take charge of the court, because the judge is responsible for whatever goes within the courtroom. It's his court, and he has to be the one to make the decisions, to decide who to listen to and who to not listen to when objections come. You know, and that he made very clear. Like I said, I wasn't very aware of the details.
But they sent us a report.
Yeah, so based on that, absolutely, I think Justice Jaite did the right thing. You know.
Yeah, so let's move on from one court case to another one. A mother tells court how daughter was raped in the bus. So this is another serious case, and you know,
the rape cases, you know, they're becoming too much, and it should be a concern for all of us, you know.
Because there's another one which is
because you know we see these minors, you know, being impregnated, minors being, you know, raped and all that. You know, it's becoming too much. I think, you know, the laws are there, and to be honest, because even when you sleep with a minor or a teenager who willingly allows you to do it, you know, you go to jail for the rest of your life. You know, these laws are there. But also I think there should be more sensitization for people to understand, you know, some of these things, how serious they are when you commit some of these offenses. And also, when I was going to school, I don't know if they still have this subject. There used to be a subject called POPFLE, Population and Family Life Education.
It's normal.
I don't know if this subject is still there,
but
that subject was very useful. It, you know, it teaches you about, you know, sex life and all that. From that age, it starts from grade 7, when you are around maybe 13, 14. So it helps you to be wary of, you know, your sex life and all that, and, you know, when it comes to puberty and all these things. So as a teenager, it will help you. You'll be aware of your body and know what to do in terms of sexual life and all that. But if we take all these things away, you know, in this country, you know, it's even a taboo to even sit, you know, with kids and talk about sex life and all that. They should know it. You should educate them, because I believe, like, there is this funny saying that people will say, oh, I see some people even have such skit about it. Nigeria and Gambia, both, we do it. They will say, a lot of mothers will tell their daughters, oh, don't allow you know, any man to touch your breast.
If they touch it,
if they touch your breast, you'll be pregnant. So okay, that sticks to the head.
And she will be like,
and then she can get pregnant without any man touching the breast. So these are some of the things we should talk about. And I think that subject, if the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education are watching this, I think they should reconsider bringing that, looking at all these cases that we start seeing, all, you know, young girls, you know, being raped, being impregnated and all that, and it affects their education at some point.
Yeah.
You know?
It involves a lot, Mr. Adedrame. You see, rape cases are very grave offenses.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
like Bala said, you can spend the rest of your life in jail. But for me, witness protection, I mean, it's very significant in this case. Sometimes, sometimes the stigma, the discrimination, and how society look at you and point at you, those are things to, I think there should be a psychosocial support for this kind of individuals.
There should be, and I'm not sure that we have enough of that. I don't know how much time we have. The reason I was raising my hand is because there was a case that we discussed yesterday, and there is a significant development in that. And that's the Omar Baji case.
Oh yeah, Omar Baji.
The coroner's inquest is not enough for charges, says the Justice Minister.
It's not enough.
He said that he's on State of Affairs.
And it came on State of Affairs, and people were like, wow, you know, because when we discussed it, we said that the coroner's inquest had said that the injuries were not consistent with the story put out by the police. These were consistent with somebody having been hit consistently and with a very
blunt trauma.
So for the Justice Minister to say not enough charges, trust me, all eyes are going to be on what next, because okay, he said that in the midst of an interview. This wasn't a sort of a decision that he's issued a press statement or whatever. Yeah. But people will be watching very, very closely, because believe me, we're talking about trust in the police, trust in the system, as you were talking about. This is one that is going to test that trust.
So now, what additional evidence is the state looking at to at least justify the death of Omar Baje? Because the family is there and they want answers.
Look, why have a coroner if you're going to dismiss the coroner's report? You know, you might as well close the office.
And so looking at that, the evidence are there, because everything is explained clearly and you know, is detailed. But anyway, I think some of these cases, you know, should be taken seriously, because you know, like you said, the community and the family are all waiting to see what happens next. I even saw they did like a press conference on, was it on Saturday or on Sunday? Not too sure of it, but it was over the weekend. You know, they said they want answers. Now the coroner inquest is out and all that. But the ministry also put out a press release to say they've received it, they're looking at it, you know, and they will get back to the the public as to what are the next steps.
That's right.
Well, it was until when the minister came on State of Affairs and said the coroner inquest is not enough for prosecution. But let's see if let's wait for the official statement from the ministry.
Exactly,
because that is from the minister, but it's not official.
Because they always say that you know, when you're a minister, you shouldn't announce policy or a decision like that in an interview. Now, this is somebody who's quite experienced, and I was quite shocked to hear that, because the decision has not yet been taken. But it's already, you've kind of given a signal to us about what your decision is going to be by saying that there's not enough to justify
I would like
charges.
us to deal with this, although Director said it's time. But please let him allow us to deal with one story. Government to cut spending on vehicles in new policy as fuel cost rise. I just want to understand, how is this new policy going to enhance our annual budget?
It will, big time. Take an example of the Meet the People tour, and we know this year they've just done one, or and I think they have one more to come. And when you look at the President's convoy, with all the vehicles you see, you know, I believe the President should cut down on the number of vehicles. I believe the ones that are absolutely necessary should be with him, and the ones that are not necessary should be out. We've seen that happen in other countries. We've seen it in Tanzania.
That's right.
Where even ministers join custos to go to work now. You know, we've seen it in even Uganda. You know, we've also seen in Uganda also, they cut down the number of vehicles on the President's convoy. So it's timely, Balde. When you cut all these vehicles, then you cut the fuel that you spend and the maintenance. So it really cut down a lot on the spending for, you know, vehicles and petrol or whatever. Because right now we are in an energy crisis. Everywhere you go, you know, most governments are trying to take measures to save the little that they can for their public.
And if any of them are watching this, I know they do it in Gambia and they do it in lots of African countries. I worked in the heart of Westminster, where British government, the Parliament, the Prime Minister, the Queen, they're all. I never saw their parked car with the engine running for 3 hours because the Queen was in the building or the Prime Minister was in the building. They come there, they switch off the engine. That nonsense has to stop. There's no justification for it. We invite ministers here, and if they're here for 2 years, their cars outside, engine running for 2 hours. It's a nonsense.
I sometimes wonder
Please
why.
Stop it.
Is it protocol?
Because they think if they need to make a quick escape, they don't need
because that fuel that you're using for 1 hour, you can use it for another thing.
And Balde, the other thing also is not just that.
AC on as well.
Of course, because the driver will be sitting in there.
It's complete silliness.
So, but for me, the thing also is, and also, you know, after working hours, also using government vehicles, the GG vehicles after working hours.
You see them.
All these are things that should stop. Most people say now that we are in an energy crisis, you know, that should stop. You see Nawek, they've started again 3 days ago. You know, some areas won't have electricity for hours. So we know actually there is energy crisis, and Nawek made this clear that it is affecting them, and we should be ready for the consequences that come with it. And it's already happening.
I'm really afraid.
So let's just pray that, you know, so far I've seen some positive news coming from Iran and the US.
That's right.
They are opening
because
is it the hummus?
Straits
just
of
Hormuz, but
Hormuz.
Trump also is
Straits of
trying to
Hormuz.
do away with certain
Conditions.
conditions coming from even Israel.
Israel.
You know, trying to
So,
have some
gentlemen,
plans.
I'm afraid. Thank you very much.
Stop being afraid.
Thank you. I'm afraid I'll have to stop because my
Before the
director,
director will just cut on you,
will
huh?
just, I
Cut
mean,
your mic.
yeah, so viewers will take a short break. After the break, we'll be talking to Modu S. Juve, Secretary General, Gambia Press Union, on World Press Freedom Day commemoration. We'll be back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. We are back again after the break. If you're just tuning in, we are broadcasting on QCell Avenue, Serekunda. Now let's move on to the other segment. That's World Press Freedom Day. We have Modu S. Juve, Secretary General of the Gambia Press Union. We'll be talking about World Press Freedom Day commemoration. Yes. Mr. Juve, it's good to have you.
Thank you.
You've
Thank
been
you
here
for
last
having
year,
me.
I think.
Not this year.
This year?
Yeah.
On this
Just-
morning?
Yes.
Yes,
Eh.
indeed.
A few months ago.
My mind is
You're
really...
getting
Yeah.
yes.
Happy to be here.
So it's good to
Again,
have you,
thank
and
you.
we'll be talking about a very important subject. That's the World Freedom Day commemoration, the Press Freedom Day. Let's talk about the current state of press freedom in the Gambia. It's important for us to highlight that before we delve into the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me once again.
pleasure.
It's a pleasure to be here. Media freedom in the Gambia, based on the recent press freedom rankings by Reporters Without Borders, have shown some improvements in terms of ranking for the Gambia. Now we are 58 in the world and 8 in Africa.
8 in Africa, yeah.
Yeah, it's closer to our best ranking back in 2023 when we were also 46
Yes.
and 5th in
5th
Africa.
in Africa, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, based on that, we have seen some improvements, you know, as far as our global press ranking is concerned. Also, if you see that this thing is improving, it's because mostly there have not been any journalists that have been killed like previously happened, and also no journalist was in jail at the time of this assessment that it was being done. I think these are some of the most serious violations of press freedom that could make a country's ranking to be poor. You know, so based on those, but there are still a lot of challenges. You know, if you look at the RSF index, it still highlighted the legal and regulatory challenges that affect the Gambian media, and this includes media laws, a lot of them, old and new laws that have already been recommended for review and repeal. You know, yeah. So the situation, also if you look at the safety of journalists as well, there are no legal guarantees for the safety of journalists in the Gambia, even though the Truth Commission recommendations the government has accepted to implement the UN Action Plan on the safety of journalists and issue of impunity, you know, plan of action on safety of journalists and issues of impunity.
Yes.
You know, so all of these things, and including the economic challenges and environment of the media,
Absolutely.
that is still keeping us low. We could do better than
Yes.
we are doing now, you know. But if you look at the press freedom situation generally,
So we
this
just
is the situation.
commemorated May Day, Workers' Day as well.
Yes.
The Gambia Press Union, I would have really loved to ask you, what are you doing in the plight of journalists to make sure journalists are also paid? Because most of these journalists complained
Yes.
of low pay,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah,
So
and
I think you people should step in as well.
Definitely, definitely. That is a very important issue that the Gambia Press Union is working on or has been working on. You know, issues of workers' welfare. The Gambia Press Union primarily was set up because it's a trade union.
Yeah.
It looks after the welfare of workers, media workers.
Yeah.
You know, and because of that, we have been making a lot of interventions around this area. And I even had an opportunity of an interview on World Press Freedom Day, where we talk about the economic conditions and payments, you know, for media employees, you know, poor salaries and those kind of stuff. In 2020, we came up with a collective bargaining agreement for media employers to adopt, you know, that put in place basic salaries and all the benefits that are due to employees, including social security payments and allowances, you know, of overtime. And we've set this thing in a way that it should be incremental based on the relative and economic environment as in inflation, you know, annually,
Sure.
you know, and we've put in place where if some people are editors, you know, reporters, there should be a certain minimum salary that they should start with.
Okay.
So we did this and we pushed it and we held several meetings with media chiefs, you know, and media owners for them to sign up. But until now, there have been a lot of pushback. They always complain that they are also struggling financially to keep their media houses running. You know, only 6 media houses have signed up to the collective bargaining agreement. But generally, it is meant to improve the welfare of workers. Because we believe, you know, a lot of people would say journalism is not a money-making venture. But at least if you work in the media, you should be able to have a decent living conditions. Rent is very expensive. Food is expensive. You know, you should be able to be getting a salary, you know, a take-home that commensurate with current living conditions in the Gambia.
So, I mean, people will tell you journalism is not a money-making venture. Yes, granted. But if you have that peace of mind, the only thing that can do that for you is when you know you are comfortable behind to project your stories. You know, for me, I'm not complaining, but if I have to, I will take. You understand, Mr. Adedrama?
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate for a minute here, I'm aware because when it was brought to us here at QTV, I have to be honest, we have to hold up our hands and say that there was pushback, you know, no beating about the bush on that one, because it was said that, look, you're trying to impose something on us that we might not be able to afford. So, yes, it's fine. Nobody argues that, you know, journalists should not be paid a certain amount, but to say there are much smaller organizations than ours, which might struggle to actually meet that. And if that is the thing, they'll go into liquidation, they'll go bankrupt because they have to meet certain standards of pay and so on. And they'll end up letting go of staff, or they just end up getting a whole bunch of interns that they don't have to give a proper contract to, and so on. So there are lots of challenges around it. And so that was why, as you said, there was pushback from a lot of, you know, organizations, including from us. I mean, I have to say.
Okay, it's important. Let's talk about the media regulation. I mean, what is the Gambia Press Union doing about that?
You mean the draft one?
Yes.
Well, with regards to the regulations, I think the last things that we've done, you know, was regarding the resolution that we published, and also a position paper on the regulations, as well as a statement rejecting those regulations. Those were extensively covered by the media, including your own media organizations, QTV. I think those are our positions. The positions remain the same, but currently, as you might be aware, we have started a dialogue on these regulations, which is convened by the Gambia Bar Association, you know, and so we are looking at the possibility of how best we can make sure that even if, you know, these regulations would be, you know, that it does not affect press freedom or freedom of expression or media independence. That has been our primary concerns, and we look at local regulations or laws, including the constitutions and international standards of press freedom of expression, in line with media regulations and those kind of things. So that's where we are at the moment.
And just to say quickly, I mean, when we discussed it previously on here, I did point out that in the European Union, only 2 countries actually have similar. I mean, in Africa, it's fairly common, even next door in Senegal, they have it. But Portugal and Italy are the only 2 European Union countries that have this sort of regulator. But just quickly on the standard, bottom of the standard, it says survey reveals Africans back media watchdog role, but freedom is slipping. And that was, in fact, I was going to deal with that, but because you were coming on, I thought let's save it for that. So it seems that, yes, there's opposition to it, but I think part of the objection is, should it be an independent body, if at all it should exist? And just quickly to say that both the United Nations and the European Union are actually against this completely. They say that, you know, journalism is an activity, not necessarily a profession, even though people do it as a profession. And because it's an activity, can you regulate an activity in that way? And they give an example. If somebody sees something happening, they take a video, post it online and they write a story about it, are you saying that person has to be registered before they can do that? And the United Nations says no. You know, so there is that debate, but we're glad that there is now this kind of there's dialogue rather than a complete boycott.
Yes, and with regards to the dialogue, it's just started, and the Gambia Bar Association, which is responsible for communicating the progress that is being made, you know, that which it will be doing intermittently, you know, has issued its first statement announcing that the dialogue has started. We are very hopeful, and like we said before, the Gambian media is not against regulations, because we have tried to regulate ourselves for a long time with a code of conduct and setting up a self-regulatory mechanism.
That's right.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that it is in line with what is acceptable internationally, within the African region and internationally as well.
So let's talk about how misinformation you know, becomes a threat to our democracy. You know, it's important for us to teach our journalists ethics as well. You know, you cannot report anything. Sometimes it can be at the detriment of this country.
Yes.
So what are we doing about that?
Yeah, at the level of the Gambia Press Union, there is a lot that we've been doing to fight misinformation and disinformation. And this primarily started in 2021 when we had the first trainings. Previously, we've had, before then, trainings on identifying and tackling fake news. But with regards to misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, you know, collectively referred to as information disorder. In 2021, we started the first training for journalists on fact-checking. You know, and it was intended for them to be able to identify misinformation and disinformation and to be able to tackle it. Then we decided it doesn't end there, but we set up a platform called Fact Check Gambia. It's one of the country's leading fact-checking platforms.
Fact-check.
Which played a very crucial role in fighting misinformation and disinformation during the last election in 2021. You know, and the work that we did with Fact Check Gambia, which is managed by the Media Academy for Journalism and Communication, the GP School of Journalism, was recognized by various international observers, including the EU and ECOWAS. You know, and based on
so we'll come back to you, Mr. Adedrame. It's important for us to discuss, I mean, these topics. You know, we all understand the importance of journalists cannot be overemphasized in this country.
Well, that's right.
Yes.
You're talking about misinformation and disinformation, and you're right. You know, as Modu S. Juve has said, they have done a lot of work in this area. They've worked with Majak to set up. And then recently we saw the launch of this center built and run by Gambians, completely AI driven. So it doesn't even take your information when you send in something to be fact checked.
Yes.
So it's not like your information is going to be handed to somebody else or passed on to anybody else. It's completely kind of anonymized, and so that's a big thing.
So we can
So on those interventions that we were doing, you know, like I was saying, the work that we did before, during, and after the 2021 election with Fact Check Gambia was recognized by the EU Election Observer Mission, the African Union, and also the ECOWAS Election Observer Mission. And based on that, you know, and the recommendations that the ECOWAS Observer Mission put in place for the training of journalists that we should do on misinformation and disinformation, training on hate speech and conflict-sensitive journalism, which we all did. ECOWAS is also considering supporting the Gambia Press Union ahead of the 2026 presidential election to continue building the capacity of journalists, you know, in the Gambia. So beyond that, we have done a lot of training since 2021 to now, and we have increased these trainings and have reached a great number of journalists in the Gambia, you know, including on training on hate speech. And then we revised our own code of conduct because previously it didn't cover issues related to hate speech on how journalists should deal with hate speech. It didn't also cover misinformation and disinformation and how journalists should treat those when they are reporting, you know. And previously it didn't cover issues of disability, you know, reporting on disability. All of these things we have incorporated, plus reporting on artificial intelligence, and also how to ethically use artificial intelligence tools.
Because when it was first drawn up,
yes,
artificial intelligence
wasn't
a thing.
there. Yes, yeah. So that's what we have done, and this is how we are trying to fight misinformation and disinformation. And this is the trend, you know, that globally that countries are taking. And you know, we also believe if you want to fight these issues, alongside training journalists, building their capacities, you also need to raise public awareness for them to be able to do basic fact-checking, basic ways of identifying misinformation and disinformation. And for us, we intend, because the Gambia Press Union, while we work primarily with journalists, we have also been engaging communities across the country, doing town hall meetings, raising awareness on access to information. And we also intend to include issues of media information literacy, misinformation and disinformation. The Media Academy has already started doing that. And last year, they ran a project on media information literacy, and they developed a guide on media, an offline app, you know, on media information literacy that people can use anywhere, you know.
Okay. So now I'm interested to know what measures are there, you know, for journalists that, I mean, spread false information. Do you have a strict law that bites?
Well, no. We don't encourage legislations that are intended to punish journalists, you know, when they do they commit mistakes, you know, in the line of duty. No. We expect every journalists are supposed to police themselves. Basically, every journalist should know, like they would know their Quran or Bible, their code of conduct. If we all follow strictly our code of conduct, there wouldn't be any problem. We wouldn't be making any serious mistakes. So, but the issue of misinformation, disinformation, or hate speech are not necessarily being manufactured by journalists. These are coming from politicians and government officials, you know, both in the government and outside government.
And sometimes
you know,
they use journalists.
And for journalists who maybe have not received training, you know, or their capacity has not been built, these things might slip away, you know, and get out of there. But when it does, you know, that was why we set up the Media Council of the Gambia. Members of the public, any individual who is aggrieved by media reporting could file a complaint. They even accept anonymous complaints, you know, that you could file. And if they check it and see that this violates the code of conduct for journalists, there are certain measures that they could take. It's not recommending jail time or so, but they can ask for a correction and apology where necessary. You know, it's only on the most serious cases of breaches of ethics, you know, that they could ask for your press card to be withdrawn or for a suspension there.
So how,
can I comment?
Yes, comment.
Because the GPU are not the GPF.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But just 3 days ago, I was watching at the UN, and they decided that they were going to reenact the audios and the broadcasts that were done in Rwanda that sparked the genocide. And some of those were by journalists.
Yes.
But it wasn't for the press union, it was for the police to arrest them and stop it. And so what they did was, rather than play the actual audios, they had actors reenacting, but reading the actual words to show people, you know, go out and kill the cockroaches and all these kind of things that were said. And as they said, I watched it, and it's online, it's on UN Web TV. This was spread by journalists, not some people from Mars or...
They started the war.
Well, yes. So
Rwanda,
there are times when politicians, as you said, can use and abuse journalists to actually cause trouble. In here, we talk about hate speech a lot, but what happened in Rwanda is the real consequence of hate speech. I mean, here, a lot of it is just kind of heated political discourse and people insulting each other. But, you know, so journalists have to be aware that they are not used by politicians. But I just wanted to be very quickly, since I've come here, we've heard talk about some of we keep saying draconian rules that we want. Has the GPU ever sought to identify a National Assembly member and say, look, can you put forward the case for repeal of this? Because you have to wonder, why doesn't the government repeal these? Is it because it suits them? They never use it, of course. But it's an easy one to repeal because everybody seems to be against these particular laws.
Just before that, I would just like to touch on Rwanda. Rwanda, it was a difficult case for the media. And but a lot of misinformation also has been put around the genocide, blaming journalists. But historically, the media was not responsible in Rwanda for the genocide. They have been used by politicians and people in power, you know, to perpetrate or to spread hate speeches. You know, so in this context, when we discuss Rwanda, because even if during the dictatorship, you know, a lot of things they would say, they will justify the clampdown on journalists was the Rwandan genocide, you know, but it wasn't journalists responsible for that. The genocide was structurally built, you know, and it was going to happen with or without media. True. So the structures were already there, you know. So that's why when we made reference to it, you know, at least we know journalists played a role because, you know, whatever conditions they were working in, you know, they've accepted, you know, to amplify those messages with that radio stations. So, but with regards to the draconian media laws, so we've done a lot of work around it, and the Gambia Press Union identified most of these laws, and we filed a suit in 2015 with the Supreme Court. You know, the Supreme Court decided to struck out some, you know, as unconstitutional, one of which was the internet law, the amendments to the 2013 amendments to the 2009 Information Communication Act on spreading false news online, which was punishable by a fine of 3 million and 15-year jail term. You know, and they also struck criminal defamation, you know, and those kind of things. So, so the government has made some progress in terms of reform, but very little, you know, that sedition is no longer a crime because the Criminal Offences Act 2025 has repealed sedition. But they have also decided to take from the previous criminal code and incorporate false publication and broadcasting law, which takes up a 2-year punishment for jail term, up to 2 years, you know, or up to a $250,000 fine. You know, so beyond that court case that the Gambia Press Union brought, you know, these laws were also challenged at the level of the ECOWAS Court. And in 2018, the court, ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, ruled that these laws should be reviewed or repealed, you know, and to be in line with international freedom of expression standard. But we didn't stop there. After the change of government, the Gambia Press Union had a holistic agenda for media law reforms, for media reforms generally. You know, and media law reforms was included in it. And the government then set up a committee, a media law review committee in 2018, you know, to review all of these laws and make recommendations. All of the recommendations that they made, that committee was composed of people from the Gambia Press Union, the National Assembly, Human Rights Committee, you know, the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Information, you know, a whole lot of stakeholders, you know, were there. And they made the same recommendations that the court, ECOWAS Court has made, you know, about these laws. And then you come back to the TRRC recommendations. They have also recommended for all these laws to be reviewed and repealed. You know, so it's the onus now is on government because the government already has accepted the recommendations of the TRRC, even though the ECOWAS Court judgment is binding on the government, you know, by virtue of our membership of the ECOWAS community, you know, and their own assessment of the laws and have agreed, you know. So it's the onus is on government to really work towards this. The Gambia Press Union will continue posing, you know, reminding the government of its obligation and engaging constructively so that they can push forward some of these laws.
Thank you very much, Mr. Juve, for talking to us on the QTV this morning. It's important for us to come and clarify things. I mean, that's journalism for you.
Well, that's the job.
Yes.
That's the job.
Yeah, so thank you. Viewers, we will take a short break. After the break, then we will talk to the team from Aji Bank, your investment partner, on Spirit of Service football match. Aji Bank versus the government of the Gambia. We'll be back. It's QTV this morning. Now let's head to the last segment of this program. If you're just tuning in, we're broadcasting from the Gambia, West Africa on QCell Avenue. Now, let's take a look at the service football match between Aji Bank versus the government of the Gambia. It's not just going to be a small match. It is going to be a match that people will remember forever because, you know, two giants teams are going to meet and clash heads together. And we have Mahmoud Lamin Jawla, member organizing committee, Spirit Service football match, and of course Ibrahim Job, member, and of course we also have Malik Mbub, part of the committee. So gentlemen, it's good to have you here. Are we not having women to support us, to clap for us?
Thank you.
Are we not having them here? Why are we all gentlemen here? Huh? We don't have to be biased there. No, Ajib, I'm not supporting you people anymore. One day government will I support.
We are not biased. Come the day, you will see the difference. Ñu ngi leen a jaajëfal bu baax a baax waa QTV, waa Ajib Bank, and the government of the Gambia for making this a possibility. Because mbébét la woon bu ñu am last year, but this year la ko yàlla dogal. Fekk ñoom tam ñu ànd si with the help of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology ak National Sport Council. So ñu ngi leen a jaajëfal ñun ñëpp bu baax a baax te di wax ne bii moom it will be a very interesting encounter inshallah.
Okay, all right. So let's talk to Mahmoud. Why did we choose football match to promote unity?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, viewers. Actually, football was not chosen because maybe, we are biased, with the other sports, but it is quicker to use football to bring people closer, get together and then have fun and also build stronger relationship between, communities, groups and organizations. So that's the main reason, and it is easy to also fund a football-related activity, without maybe spending that much. I think that's it. But the sponsor of the football match itself, also have the prerogative to choose any sport, and if they choose football, then I don't think we should have an objection to football. Exactly, we go with it. That is it.
Yeah. So Malik, tell us how far have you gone with the preparation?
Thank you very much. And we've gone very far because what we've done as an institution, that is Ajib Bank, we conceived this idea since last year, as Ibrahim rightly mentioned. But unfortunately, we couldn't stage this. It's in twofold, but this year we'll start with one. What we want to do as an institution every year is to have work for health with the executive. If we mention the executive, which means all other staff under their ministries will attend. Then from there, we have an annual football match. This is going to be in celebration of the International Labour Day. Last week, the National Sports Council, through the Ministry of Youth and Sport, at least we've seen the big organization they've done. So this is complementing what they are doing annually now, whereby Ajib Bank will play a friendly football match with government and then work for health. So this year too, when the President approved our request for him to take back, though he's not coming, he has delegated the Minister of Youth and Sport, Honorable Bakari Waibaji, and the Minister of Higher Education, Professor Per Gomez, to represent him. So come on the 8th of May 2026 at 5:30 p.m. at Q City, we'll be hosting this. Currently, everything is in place because the ministry has wrote to the office of the IGP requesting for security coverage, requesting for the police ban, and then yesterday we handed over the jerseys to the government through the Ministry of Youth and Sport and their tracksuits, and all other logistics are in place. So what we are looking for now is to have that massive turnout from both the government ministries, and then for Ajib Bank, we don't need to mention, because even our staff in Basse will come down to support. So come to the pitch tomorrow, you will see something spectacular.
Ibrahim, when we talk about Ajib Bank, government of the Gambia, are we talking about footballers within Ajib, or are you sourcing footballers outside? Because teams, it happened.
We're not sourcing footballers outside. It is just those in Ajib that will play. So, for Ajib, we even have two different teams. We have a team.
You have two?
Yes, we have a team that's currently competing in Governor Jatta's Interbank tournament, which we happened to win last year. This year we are competing and hopes are high. So it is the senior team that we intend to bring to play against the government, because we want it to be a fun game. We don't want to have a game that will be too serious or bring, players that are too concerned in football. So this is why we just want to make it a friendly game, have our senior team come up, heads of department there, managers there, and then it will be very fun.
Are we having players from QCell too to join Ajib?
Well, the Q Group family, you know, we are two sides of the same coin. Our doors are open, and we welcome anyone who wishes to take part in this game, because it was an initiative from Ajib, but as I said earlier, two sides of the same coin. Anyone from any Q Group company that wishes to play, our doors are open, because we are one family. So we are always open, and we hope to see the directors and the managers in each of these companies come up.
Yes, it's important.
It would be an issue, honestly.
Yeah. There is one thing I know. The government of the Gambia, they have a big problem, because Ajib Bank is not a small team. You remember when you dealt with QCell? You understand? Since that day, I lose hope. I don't support the QCell team anymore. You understand? So you have to be ready for you to challenge Ajib, because their players are very agile.
Yeah, but here you're talking about a whole government.
Yeah, I know what I'm telling you. You know, we are confident. QCell is a very good team, but they trust us. I mean, they reduce us to nothing at the end of the time. So since that day, we couldn't gain our form again. So what is this sending to the young people of the Gambia?
Yeah, the message is that young people should emulate what is happening right now, looking at the private sector collaborating with the government, do things like this match that is going to happen tomorrow, the football match, where you have the entire executive and also the management of Ajib Bank. That is a bright example to tell the general citizenry, even not the young people, that the country is just one people. You know, we can come together and then have fun, and also, strengthen our relationships, rather than, going into other activities that would bring, chaotic, situations in the country. So I think it is very important. Everybody should see this as a source of inspiration for the maintenance of peace in the Gambia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mboob, apart from entertainment, what is this march sending to the entire population?
Well, this will show that there is peace and stability in this country, and then that peaceful environment has been enabled by government for businesses to thrive. Because today, if you see us organizing a football match, the country is stable. So this is what we want to foster. And again, there should be this partnership, strong bond between the government and the private sector. So Ajib want to be in the forefront to do that. Before I conclude, I also want to let the viewers know that our group chairman, that's Mohamed Jah, will coach the Ajib team. And chairman is ready to be there so that we can trust the government of the Gambia.
Really?
Yes.
So, Ibrahim, Ali, do much bu yomba de?
No, do much bu yomba. Comme niñ ko waxee la, two big institutions, because government soo ko waxee moom mooy number one institution. So xoolee Ajib tam, it is a growing bank, and we want to be up there. So moo tax chairman, xam nga rek su fa nekkee loolu noonu beneen level la. So ministers yi directors yi tam ñëw loolu noonu beneen level la. So phone game la, but tam also ñu ngi ko déggal foo xam ne ni tam xam nga rek mooy loolu.
Waaw ñun win bi la ñoo jël si. So ñun no matter what happen, we are going to win. This match inshallah is ours.
Sure.
Te ñu ngi ko play si suñ ground bi te du Q City.
Q City.
Waaw suñ ground it's a home match. You know what home matches are?
Why be amul home and away de.
Wow. So be pare you have to be careful, because suñ TV time like night bad. It's our TV, so we have the entire population supporting us.
Maybe Consolena cover con, you'll just be looking at the best angles, of Ajib Bank, and then
gisuma dara loo xam ne sax government bi dinañ ko mën a def fii, because number one ñun ñoo amee yëpp.
Because laajte nañ ko wax ñu sa players yi, wax players yi sa ba léegi, because soo compté ministre yooyu ana player yu fa nekk.
They don't have players. Ibrahima, this will be an easy ride.
Suñ veteran player bi, Honorable Babukar Boy, moom mooy coach bi. So he knows football very well.
Okay.
Babukar Boy mooy seen coach.
Waaw.
Kon yéen lose ngeen.
Lose nañ. Oh really?
No, lose ngeen Babukar Boy.
No, kon yow xamuloo ko.
Babukar.
Yow xamuloo ko kon.
Jeex na. I mean, he doesn't have the tactics.
Xam ngeen ko bu baax. bañ a xam.
No, amul tactics yi anymore, amul
Waaw,
skills. Because
man na
football,
he is still into
no, léegi
football.
football dafa evolve. Lu nekk football tey nekku doon lu nekk démba de.
No,
dafa change.
nekkut di play léegi nii. waaye that does not mean ne nekkut si football.
No, moom all coaching skills la am.
waaw ok dina leer suba.
Waaw
ëllëg la match bi. dina leer.
Yes.
and nga am Dr. Cissé fële nga am Bakary Badji so di des duma ren tudda. waaw ñooñu because suma waaye gars yi seen tur xëj na tem the 11th hour ngeen bindal ñu ne dañ bugg a xam nga postpone match bi pour ngeen dem defal.
waaw xam nga Ibrahima wax na fi Ibrahima mu ne suñ chairman bi moo nekk coach bi. te ñun suñ chairman dafa dangerous.
football ba léegi.
dafa agile ba léegi dafa daw. so loolu am ngeen problème.
waaw waaye Mr Boy tam noonu la di. he is current de.
waaw baax na amul benn
bañ àgga foofu rek
so what time is the match?
mu teg fixture bi nga gis.
We want to kick off at 5:30.
Yes.
Because we want to finish early and make sure everyone goes before it starts.
Yeah.
So moo tax dañ bëgg a teel a play 5:30.
Waaw.
Then da nga gis ne at the end of the day nañ mën a amee proper match. Proper officials tam ñooy ñëw. Red Cross and everything. Because bëggul mu ne referees and everything. Lu standard lañ bëgg loo xam ne ni it will be fun but also very standard.
Wow. So are we doing tickets?
No.
It's free?
Yes.
Okay, loolu dina am solo. Where is the ref coming from? Send side ñan ñoo indi ref bi?
No, Federation.
waaye nag ñoom lañ ko bàyyee.
No.
so kenn xamul luñ fa def.
You people
xam naa
great mistake.
ngeen bàyyil ñu ko because sport la.
You people are making a great mistake, Ajib.
waa ben tey
waa ben tey pour mu leer fii ñoom lañ ko bàyyee.
Exactly.
yéen nga sax moom lañ ko bàyyee.
ñi ngeen bàyyee ref
ben tey mun nañoo def lii xam nga rek pour ñu bañ a because suñu leen a wiin te dañ leen a wiin. ngeen wax ne non gars yi ñoom ñoo tànn référence yi moo waaw.
non man loolu óoluwuma ko. ref mu jógee si yéen. mu ñëw mu fuuf match bi.
waaw
it's not possible.
xam nga luñ defal gars yi sax. ma yokk si
baax na central referee.
bañ nañ ko sax jënduñ benn set of jaasi pour ñoom bi ko xam nañ amuñ players. ñaari set lañ leen jox. pour ñuy change rek. ñuy change rek.
duñ ko mun a jaar so this is important pour ñu am lu mel nii. Imagine time bi si time politique lañ nekk. élection baa ngi ñëw gis nañ différence yu bëri si wàllum registration ak yooyu noonu. so lii dafa xam nga tey Ajib doo xam ne kii UDP la. doo xam ne kii APR te NPP la. ñëpp dañoo ñëw play. understand nga. dañoo play a government of the Gambia te at the end of the time benn spirit bi la. so lii la dee def so finally bëggoon nañ ngeen wax ñu lan ngeen soxla si askan bi ñoo xam ne ñooy ñëw seetaan game bi.
just comme nuñ ko waxee woon rek suñ nee di executive. so lii dafa mean ne den the entire government bi moo faa nekka. so everybody's government la. so ñëpp a war a ñëw foofu fees. ten soo leen oytu xëy na doo leen am space because ñun ñooy jël the entire fund kii bi.
waaw bon ngeen a jël loolu ñu jël win bi.
il faut yéen seen supporters yi sax suñ supporters lañ. because they are under our government.
waaw amul problème waaye
so ñi fa ñëw ñëpp they are government supporters. waaw
waaye leena rek moo ma naxari si Ajib. suñu winee COP duñ dee def barbecue. that's the problem. amoon na COP boo leen winoon fii ba léegi musuma gis pati.
foog nga ne bribe bu ñu referee bi moo tax.
last year bu ñu winee Governor Jatta trophy bi.
waaw
honestly amul luñ defut.
what about the Q group lifin boo leen winoon.
Q group tournament no man in my experience jotuñu woon a win Q group tournament.
wiinu leen.
no in my experience.
amoon na benn boo leen play woon de yaa leen wiinoon.
well possibly maybe before man may.
waaw amoon na benn boo leen play woon. boobu da ngeen ko wiinoon I waited for party ba ma soona ba léegi fàtte naa party.
non waaye léegi dynamics yi change na.
ok
léegi daal affaire ñu ngi ko gën a restructure waat. bu mu wori suñu dóoree gaay.
waaw dinañ leen dóor. su soobee yàlla dinañ leen dóor thank you. so gentlemen thank you very much for coming. nañ génn bu baax te du ëllëg la. ëllëg la 5 nañ fa nekk at least 5 o'clock. Q City mu fees you know affaire si nice QTV dinañ fa nekk pour film ko. then di nga gis ne you know match bi door. it will be very interesting.
very much.
Yes, thank you Mr. Jawla.
Thank you.
Ibrahima Jobe and Malik Mbub for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so viewers, this is all we have for this week. Thank you very much. We thank Teres Korea, Ndei Sow, our camera ladies, Eliza Sabamendi, and of course, our director, Aliu Jallo, M. Jallo. We're saying thank you to all of you for her, and our executive producer, Francis Boyne.